Hey, Steven, thanks so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Good to be with you.
Grammy winner Steven Curtis, he has a 2-hour concert coming up on TBN, November the 24th at 8 p.m. And if I can get this right, Steven, it's a pretty long here. Steven Curtis Chapman, uh, The Great Adventure,
Yes,
celebrating
sir.
50 number one songs with the Nashville
Nashville
Recording
Recording Orchestra.
Orchestra. We got it.
Yeah,
We
you
got it.
got it all. Yeah, that's a
Uh,
lot. That's a
man,
mouthful, but
this is exciting. I'm blown away by this concert. What can viewers expect from this, and what was it like singing all those songs with an orchestra?
well, I mean, I've had a handful of opportunities over the years to perform these songs with a full-blown, orchestra, stage, room full of strings and brass and timpani and the whole deal, and my band and singers. I had an amazing group of singers, Dewan Hill in the choir room, which are just an incredible group of singers that from here in Nashville. And of course, being in Music City, these are a lot of the musicians who played on the original recording. If you know my music over the years, things like The Great Adventure, that album opens with a big orchestral overture.
Yeah.
It's called a prologue, and so I've done that throughout my the Speechless album. We went to Abbey Road Studios and recorded with the London Symphony and got to have these beautiful orchestral arrangements. And that music for me has always, I say, it's kind of the sound of heaven. Just when you get all those instruments playing together, it creates some kind of emotion and feeling and sound that you can't create any other way. And I love that so much. It's why I've incorporated it into my music over the years, wherever I could afford to do it, because it's obviously you get that many players together, it's expensive, and um, I've been very blessed to do it. And I've had a few opportunities over the years, Carnegie Hall, Kennedy Center, a few symphony halls around the country where I get to do this with a symphony, but not very often. So we were thinking, how could we sort of celebrate a really amazing milestone in my career of Don't Lose Heart, my latest single, making it to the top of the charts, and that was number 50. And so, my all the people sort of involved in my world saying, "Hey, let's do some kind of a celebration of that." And at the same time, this year marks the 20th anniversary of Show Hope. Got my T-shirt on. I wear them pretty much every day. I'm a walking advertisement. Usually got the hat too. Um, for the work of Show Hope, which my wife and I started a little over 20 years ago, but officially started 20 years ago when we began working with a mission to engage the church to care for orphans and help reduce the barriers to adoption, which has primarily been through financial assistance to families that want to adopt. But now it's grown into many other areas that we work with children and with families in the area of adoption and orphan children. And it's just been an amazing thing that God has blessed us beyond anything we ever imagined. We gather every November to do that during the month of adoption, National Adoption Month. And we gather in Nashville and do a big celebration and talk about the visions of the next year and months ahead. And so we thought, well, let's put all that together. Let's do a big gathering, a beautiful new symphony hall, performance hall in Nashville called the Fisher Center at Belmont University, where I was a student back before electricity almost many years ago. And so it was kind of a homecoming. Everybody came to us. I had a stage full of many of the players who played on those original recordings because we're in Nashville with all these great musicians. And I got to perform, obviously, not all 50 of my number one songs, and a handful of them, along with a few that weren't necessarily number ones, but just songs that I really wanted to perform with a symphony. And it was really, really special night. And TBN said, "Hey, we can't miss this. We're going to come capture it and fill it in with some interviews with people talking about my music over the years, family, friends, musicians that I've worked with, and create this really special night, just kind of celebrating something that has kind of blown my mind that I've been able to do this for this many years and get to be a part of something so special."
I'm curious, Stephen, do you remember the story behind every song? I mean, could I just name a song and you just say, "Oh yeah, here's how we got that one."
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the story. I think I could. Now, you may test me, and we could do a
I'm
little
not I'm
game.
not Let's do an easy. Let's do the
Stump
easiest one.
Stevie, Stump
Let's do
Stevie game, yeah.
let's do
Yeah,
the easy one. Great adventure. I mean, just you've told that
yeah,
story so many times. Just tell me the story behind that.
yeah, yeah. That was a meeting with some pastors and very good friends of mine over the years. Manager at this point in my career, I had just finished the For the Sake of the Call tour. I had finished up that album, and I had won a Grammy Award, which was again another one of those. What is this really happening? Is this my life? Whoever imagined that? So it was an amazing time, but there was a lot of expectation. There was a lot of building. Hey, it's bigger and better. Let's go. Won a Grammy, now let's win two Grammys. It's all that kind of stuff that happens in the music business and a lot of business. Once you win, something, it kind of lasts for about 15 minutes, and then it's all the pressure and the expectation that comes with it. And I was really processing that and wrestling with that. My family was grown, to three children. Mary Beth's at home with our kids. Opportunities are growing. It's great. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times because I wasn't prepared, didn't know way to be prepared for all of the that would come with that. And I remember walking into a meeting with my pastor and a couple of guys that were like, I called them kind of my pastoral advisory committee, guys just around me to help keep me on track and keep me spiritually, you know, tuned in, as well as, with all this other stuff. But I also had record company guys and everybody there to kind of talk about the next thing. And I walked in and I remember just saying, guys, you know, I got a few ideas, a few songs, things I feel like, I'm kind of working towards, and themes that I think God's kind of put on my heart. But boy, if I really probably did what I need to do right now, I just sit and cry with you guys for a while because boy, it's a lot. And then I'm like, but hey, here we go. And I kind of tossed that out, hoping they would take the bait, but thinking if they don't, that's good too, because I don't really want to go into that, but I probably should. And sure enough, one of my pastor and friends said, whoa, 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 wait a minute, what's that about? And and man, I just lost it. I remember just falling apart, crying, saying, "Guys, it's so much." I'm watching my family, the toll that it's taken on Mary Beth, with the new baby. At that point, I think Will Franklin wasn't even born yet. She was pregnant with him. He was coming. We already had two. I'm getting all these opportunities and touring, and I said, I don't know if I'm being a good husband, father, and then there's all this opportunity, which is everything we ever imagined and dreamt it'd be, but it's now I don't know if I can sustain it and keep my heart right in midst of all of it. And I feel like I'm maybe a failure on so many levels of all of this right now. And I remember my pastor just saying, you know, I just want to talk to you. I want to figure that out with you, and we're going to pray, and we're going to help you figure out, is this time to are you quitting? Do you get done? Are you done, or do you keep going? And if so, how do we do this with you? But most importantly, I want to talk about the word failure. I want to talk about the word's not enough. You say, you're not enough to do this, and you're not. But the songs you write and the sermons you've heard me preach about the cross says, because of what God has already done, that's already been determined. It's not about you being enough. It's He is enough. And it's only as you keep returning to that you're going to find, the freedom and the surrender to be able to do any of whatever it is that, life calls you to and God calls you to. And it was just one of those moments when God just met me there with those friends, kind of broke through. I surrendered it again. It's like, God, yeah, I mean, that's grace. That's what grace is. It's not up to me. I'm a performer. I always want to do it well. I want to do it right. And I walked out of that meeting with this sense of, man, God's just, the grace of God is what really frees us to live our lives for His glory, not trying to perform, not trying to do it, good enough for anybody else, but just for Him. And I got to write a song about that, man. It's like, I want to saddle up. Let's go. Come on. It's an adventure. It's going to be mountains. It's going to be valleys. And I don't even really like horses. I mean, I like looking at them, but I don't necessarily like riding them because, they scare me and they don't like me. And I found that out when I did the music video for The Great Adventure again. But I'm like, but that's the only thing I can come up with that captures the sense of what I'm feeling right now. It's like this, let's go. This is an adventure. And Jesus is calling us, come follow me, and we're going to go. So anyway, that was a great adventure. So that's just one of many of the stories in those songs.
You've written 50 number one songs, many more songs that didn't reach number one. I'm curious, Steven, when you're in concert, do you ever forget lyrics?
Oh yeah, all the time. Uh,
Okay.
in fact, I forgot the lyrics in this concert video at the Fisher Center. I got this symphony. I got my family. I got all these people here. It's this big celebration night. I'm singing the song "Glorious Unfolding," and I get to the first verse, and there's so much going on through my head with this concert. The arrangements are different. When I have a symphony, when I have all this, I'm thinking about so many things, and like, oh wait a minute, is this intro like this, or is it like I do it? Unfortunately, when you have a song, when you have this many songs and you've done them for this many years, you change the arrangements up, over time. Hey, let's try this. All right, yeah. And you do that for that tour, but then all of a sudden I'm like these are the original album versions. And do I remember? And my brain just kind of short circuited for a moment. And I forgot a line in Glorious Unfolding, which people will not necessarily see because I
Yeah.
will go back and fix that. The beauty of post edit, I can go back and go, can I sing that little line that I missed? So I'll probably try to fix that so it's not so obvious. But oh yeah, I'm
What do you do?
I'm
You just ad lib? Do you just keep singing until you figure out what to do?
it kind of depends. In this case, I didn't. It happened so quick that I was there and I realized, and then I grabbed the next line. So it was literally,
Okay.
and it feels like the end is slowly closing in on you. That was the lyric, and I forgot. And it feels like the end, and I got So I was like, it's slowly closing in on you, and I got the last half of it. So
Yeah.
in that case, I didn't have time to do much. Sometimes, if it's a big stretch, I will often say, and there's another word here that rhymes with, and I'll just kind of make something up, and people will laugh and they'll go, that's our favorite part of the whole concert is when you forgot the words. And I'm like, great,
Uh, uh,
all I need to do is just forget the words, and people will go, that was my favorite part. Like, why did we try so hard?
oh, goodness, that's awesome. I'm curious, Stephen. Is there a message you've been trying to convey to the church lately in your music or during concerts? Is there something that's been on your heart you've been wanting to tell the church?
Well, I think this most recent recording that I did still is a album record. Don't even know what we call them anymore. I still call them albums
Yeah.
that I released about a year ago, and it felt important for me. Just a lot of these songs that came, of course, through the pandemic and all that was going on in our world, which is so broken. Sorry, there's Boone, my dog. Not my dog, actually, my daughter's and my wife's dog that is with me right now because none of them are here, so he's having to put up with me. Um, and somebody just walked by the window, so he's all excited. Um, I think with just the reality that, gosh, our there's so much so broken, uh, and part of the thing that I've felt compelled at this point in my journey, musically and creatively and spiritually, is if there's anything that I can say to those who are listening on their faith journey, looking at the world in the same way I am, going, man, has it ever been more broken? Have we ever needed more the hope of the gospel? I mean, we mentioned before we started even a mutual friend, Mike Hamilton, who just went to be with Jesus suddenly, shockingly, at my age, 60 years old. Even very personally, but then just globally, things that are happening in our world, wars and just conflict and on so many levels. And I feel like at this point in my life, um, that even the title of my latest collection of songs, we'll call it Still, it really comes from this thing, and the lyrics of the songs, say it's been more wonderful, it being this journey, this life, more wonderful than I ever imagined, more difficult, more painful, more confused, I have less. I think you get older, you get wiser, and I feel like you get older, you just some ways you scratch your head more and go, there's less that I really understand. Maybe when I was young and thought, hey, I got this figured out. There's humility and just knowing, God, you are God and I am not. But still, even having walked through even our own personal loss of our daughter and 15 years into that journey, that doesn't go away, that doesn't get easier. It just, what do you do with that? And what I have, by God's grace, done is to say, God, I believe you are faithful and you are good. I don't understand all of this, but I know the fact that we are on our own personal journey, 15 years into this journey, and we can see you working and redeeming and restoring us, even this side of heaven, believing and knowing that ultimately that healing's going to come when you do wipe every tear from our eyes, and all of these things that are so broken are made whole again. But in the meantime, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to keep singing about your goodness and your faithfulness because I've experienced it. I've seen it. I've tasted and seen that you are good, even with the the hard and sadness and the ache and the longing that we live with. And I think that's a simple message, but it's just where I feel like God has put me. And I've heard so many people saying, thank you for saying that. I mean, for me, the Psalms have become so precious, and powerful in my life, because you begin to read, when you hear the psalmist saying, Lord, how long are you going to forget me forever? I feel hopeless. I feel desperate. But then, even so, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to hold on to your goodness and your faithfulness and declare it and sing it. Even though I have all these, I'm going to live with both, in the already and the not yet. And I think that's something that I've just felt like God has encouraged me to encourage others with.
Briefly tell me how you developed such a passion for adoption, how you and your wife developed such a passion for adoption, because it's 20 years into this ministry.
Yeah, it started with our daughter Emily. People who probably heard it, over the years in my concerts and whatnot. But we started with our oldest daughter Emily. When she was 11 years old, she went on a mission trip. She went to Haiti with her mom and spent time with kids that were, in an orphanage. And it just broke her heart. And Emily's always been a remarkable, amazing young lady and has this passion for helping. Even when she was a little girl, she just wanted to help people and help, especially children that were in some kind of crisis. And so she came home and said, Mom and Dad, I think we need to adopt some children. That's, I think, what God has told me we're supposed to do. And of course, we said, well, that's good that God told you that. Maybe someday when you grow up and have your own life, you can do that. But that's not our calling. We're going to help others. We'll do that, but not adopt ourselves. She began to pray, write letters, just launched a full-on campaign to us to consider adoption. And as the story would unfold, God would begin to work on our hearts through our 11-year-old daughter. So, word to the wise, be very careful, what you teach your children, because they will use it against you. And so we made our first trip to China in March of 2000, adopted our daughter Shohana, and in bringing her home, our hearts were opened, our eyes were opened to the reality of how many children there are in the world living without a family. Millions of them, 12, 13 million of actual true orphans. The number varies depending on how you define that. But I mean, children without a mom or a dad, living without a family. So we just, as our eyes got open to that, and then we would meet families who said, we would love to adopt. Someday, we just can't afford it. So just maybe someday when we can, we hope we can experience that miracle that you guys have. And my wife and I, but especially Mary Beth, just thought, there are families, Christian families, that want to bring these children home and can't because of the finances. We're gonna help them. Let's help them. And so she starts kind of writing checks, and I'm looking, going, there's a long line of people starting to form, saying we are in that, we're in that line of, we would adopt a child if we could afford it. And so we just began to dream and pray about what if we could help these families in a big way. And that's how Show Hope began. That's how we started this work 20 years ago, just helping families one at a time financially see that dream and prayer kind of come to fruition of adoption. And we've been able to help over 8,600 children from 63 countries come into Christian families through supporting that work and just encouraging, cheering those families on and helping them financially. Not me and Mary Beth alone by any means, but others have come alongside us now, and we've been able to help families, and it's been an amazing thing. And then it's grown into other areas to help families in their adoption journey and help those children thrive with medical support, with emotional support that we have learned is desperately needed with these families that bring children from hard places and trauma and abandonment and all of the things that come with that. So it's been an amazing journey, and it continues to grow, the need, the opportunity. And so we're very thankful for it. I am very sorry about my dog.
Hey, I love that. I love that dog. I can
You can
tell.
have it.
Can
I
tell
give you that dog?
through the magic of video. I don't think we can do that.
Yeah.
We should tell people there's an 8-city acoustic tour you're getting to go on. It's an 8-city acoustic Christmas tour.
Yeah.
People can find more information about that at StevenCurtisChapman.com. Before we go, I'm just curious, do you see yourself being 95, still strumming a guitar, still making albums? I mean, is this why do you keep doing what you're doing? Is this just what God has placed on your heart?
Yeah, my wife and I have a lot of conversations, at different points now. I've hit the 6-0 mark, which is, I know, hard to believe for all of us, for me, especially. And, but I've never loved music, playing music, making music, singing my songs for people. I mean, I really mean that. That's not just kind of that's what you're supposed to say because, it's in the script. I genuinely can't think of a time that I've ever enjoyed more singing these songs. The new music, the older songs, new stories, songs about where I am now, but songs that like The Great Adventure. I mean, I see in the faces of people, I saw it in this concert that we just did that we're talking about, you see the tears, you see the smiles, you see life lived together, that these songs have been a part of their journey. And that's just such a cool thing that I get to experience now that I didn't experience when I first did that song. It was new, and it was a new, and people were pumped and they're ready to saddle up their horses and go. But now I can see that, man, this has really been a part of their story, and I will be here. And you see couples holding hands going, man, we have battled and struggled. And this song is our story. And man, it's just there's a sweetness, I think, in that for me now. And the idea that I'd ever put my guitar in the case for the last time and go, well, I'm retired. I can't imagine that. I don't know if anybody's going to want to hear me sing at 95. Probably not. Although
Yeah.
George Beverly Shea rocked it out right to the end. So it might be a saddle up your horses. I have to slow it down a little bit, but I just there is great joy in that for me now. So I still am still there's that word, still love it so much.
Oh, yeah, that was a pretty good George Beverly Shea.
It would have been a lot deeper.
I'm
Saddle up your.
I'm still laughing at that. Well, let's tell people again about the 2-hour concert coming up November the 24th on TBN at 8 p.m. It's called Steven Curtis Chapman, The Great Adventure, celebrating 50 number one songs with the Nashville
Recording Orchestra.
You
got it.
It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be wonderful. Hey, Steven, it's always good talking to you. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good to be with you, brother. Bye-bye.